welcome to Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And first I want to say something. I was playing Donkey Kong 64 about the other day. I just got it again. And I find that game to be a little racist.
Those things you don't pick up on when you're in the 5th grade.
No. Well, look, okay, Donkey Kong, not that it's not the fact that he's an ape, but you take that he's a gorilla. Now he's got a rap song playing, and then he picks up watermelons to get health.
I think the only thing of it's the rap song when it gets right down to it. Watermelons make a little bit of sense, but
well, no, it's by themselves. It's none of it does it, but you put all three together, gorilla, rap song, watermelon. What does that sound like? That sounds like Southern racism at its best.
Welcome to a very racist issue of Old Man Orange Podcast.
And it's made by English people.
Yeah, I guess.
Not Japanese. It was made by Japanese people. It sounds more understandable.
Well, it was made by Rare, and they actually all right, this one's gonna star an American, making a retarded inbred bear that keeps a bird in his backpack. So. His name is Banjo. And he's got to go save his sister so he can fuck her later.
Because that's what people do in America.
Yeah.
But today we went and saw Expendables 2.
The real topic of today's episode.
And Expendables 2 was really badass, actually. I really liked it.
The thing is, I liked the first one. The first one didn't blow me away. I liked it, though. My problem with the first one was it just had all these great action stars in it. It really didn't really utilize it. They each had their own little individual moment in the movie, but it was primarily Stallone and Statham. And they just advertised, you got all these stars. It was really silly about Stallone and Statham. And plus, there's that little 20-minute part of the movie. You're like, what do we do? Should we go save him? I don't know. Should we go save him? Okay, I guess we're all going to go save him.
Well, I think the thing about that movie was that you kind of expected a whole lot. Because, that movie was coming out and it's just like, man, this movie's going to be so fucking awesome. There's going to be guns and everybody I know's in it. Well, people I figuratively know off TV screen. So you're expecting this humongous movie because you're like, that's like if you combined Rambo, combined the Transporter combined.
Snatch. Let's go Snatch.
Let's go Snatch. Combined, Snatch. Even though he's not the biggest character in that movie, but Snatch, Rambo. You combine Romeo Must Die, or no, it's better, Kiss the Dragon.
Kiss the Dragon.
It's like you combine
Fearless.
The Punisher 1, like the original '89 one,
or Rocky 4.
Yeah, Rocky 4. So you're expecting this humongous movie together. And
UFC.
UFC.
And everybody hates Chris.
It's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, I know. That's my favorite part. It took me I was like, wait a second. That's the dad from Everybody Hates Chris.
No, Terry Crews. He was also in. He was also the bad guy in Gamer. He was pretty badass, and he was also
Terry Crews. He's also an actor, but I always see him in all black comedies.
He's mainly just he's in a lot of miscellaneous stuff. But I guess he was an NFL star before all this. But yeah. Anyway, back to the number one.
But Expendables 2 was really sweet. Well, actually, if you watch the director's cut of Expendables,
which I still need to see,
just came out. I think it's only on Blu-ray. That one right there.
In stores today. Buy it.
Yeah. No, that movie right there. It actually makes the Expendables experience just a tad bit better. So if you liked it, now you're gonna probably like it a lot more. It just adds a little bit more time to it. I couldn't really tell exactly what was brand new in it, but it felt the movie was a little bit more rounded off. It wasn't just the total Jason Statham, Stallone show.
Because I figured Bruce Willis and Schwarzenegger. I figured
those were just
cameos. I figured that everyone else is disappointed they didn't have bigger parts. I knew because that was too big for those guys to be in there the whole time. But everyone else was kind of like, why not Jet Li? Why not Dolph Lundgren? Why not Stone Cold Steve Austin? A little bit more. But
so that was kind of cool because it added more to it.
But what's good about the second one. Thank you. What I think's better about the second one is actually, they're in it the whole way through. It's still primarily about Stallone, but everyone else is in it except this is the biggest flaw of the movie to me personally, because he's my favorite people in the movie. Jet Li is kind of out of the movie within the first 15 minutes. He's quitting the team, and it just kind of happens. I was like, is he? Then maybe it's. I was kind of expecting him just to drop back in at some point, like near the end.
A little bit earlier. Well, he came in the end, the very end.
Jet Li wasn't there at the end.
At the very end, yeah, he was. He showed up for a bit.
I didn't see him at all.
Yeah, he was there, shooting the guns at the very end.
Was he?
I saw there was so much chaos going on. Yeah, no, they brought him in.
Well, they didn't even show him on the plane or anything when they're all flying away at the end either.
Well, he wasn't on the team, I don't think. He just showed up, I think.
Well, still, he was somewhere in the background then.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one thing. It's like, well, that's okay. All I have to say is I'm glad he's in there than them just taking him out and not
Like Mickey Rourke?
Yeah, Mickey Rourke is literally just taken out and no explanation.
Well, here's a rumor. This is strictly a rumor, but this is what I heard. I heard there's an earlier version of the script where it was going to be a revenge story, where apparently Mickey Rourke's character was brutally murdered and killed. That was such a fucking oxymoron right there. Wow. Murdered and killed!
Well, you need to get that across at how extreme this was.
He was just so
If he was just murdered, they might go, well, you know, that's whatever. I guess he's dead.
He was
We
murdered
liked him.
and killed.
But I was like, no, fuck that guy.
So he was killed or murdered, whichever you prefer. And then they a new member joins the team. Apparently, Mickey Rourke's daughter joins the team. So, and that's if you watch this movie, it seems like that may have been an earlier draft of the script because what happens is Mickey Rourke's just not in the movie whatsoever with no real explanation. Maybe they said it briefly, but I didn't hear it.
They didn't say it. I was listening for it.
Because, well, I don't remember. I couldn't remember all the names of the characters from the first. I just thought, oh, there's Statham, there's Stallone, there's the guy with the fucked up ear from the UFC. What's his name? Randy. Randy Court, I think his name is.
No, it's Randy.
Something like that. Oh, it'll come back to me later, I'm sure, once we turn off this podcast.
Yeah.
But what happens is from there, they have a new guy on their team. They have a new guy, Liam Hemsworth, which I've never seen this guy in any movie before. He's a younger guy. He's a sniper of the team. He's
a new character in a sense.
He is the new character, but about probably the 20 or 30, probably 30-minute point of the movie, he gets killed.
Yeah.
And it becomes a revenge story, and a Chinese girl, I think she's Chinese. She may be Korean.
No, she was Chinese.
Nan, that's the actress's name. Her name's Maggie. She's the new member of the team. And at first, you're going to be kind of like, are they just going to be saving her the whole time? I'm not trying to sound sexist, but just in this kind of movie, that's what you almost kind of expect. But no, she actually holds her own throughout the whole team.
Killing tons of people.
She's a badass, because that's the one thing, in like all these kind of old action films, the female character usually is like, they got to save her the whole time. But this chick was holding her own, and she was badass. There's never a moment she needed help. That was pretty cool.
Pretty much, she was there. She was literally kind of almost there to replace the Jet Li character. So, because like, we got her Chinese, but make her female to make her seem a little bit different.
Yeah, make her hot too. Yeah. And I think maybe that was the whole revenge story with Mickey Rourke's character. I can see that being an earlier draft of the script, and due to casting or whatever, they just dropped in these two.
Yeah, I can see something like that.
Because it becomes a revenge story about revenging
the young guy.
Hemsworth. Apparently, he
actually does a really good job too.
He was apparently in Hunger Games. I didn't see Hunger Games, but I looked him up on IMDb real quick. So yeah,
that's cool. Well, I want to also talk about the coolest part of these movies is actually that Arnold gets a pretty. His part's actually, it's not humongous, but it's a lot bigger. You know, he's in it for about almost a half an hour of the movie.
Same with Bruce Willis.
Yeah, and same for Bruce Willis, that's really cool. And then also Chuck Norris, which at first, when I first saw when he came into like that kind of like old Soviet town where they, you know, that was actually really cool. I want to talk about that Soviet town almost. We'll get to Chuck Norris in a second. What did you think of that Soviet town? Didn't that setting look really cool? I thought it was a great setting for a movie.
There's a part in the movie where they go to, it was a training camp for the Cold War for if they ever had to invade America. So it had this whole like early 1960s, late 50s look of New York. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was set up so that like they could practice in like a city environment, but now it's all run down. Now it's a ghost town. But I thought that was a really cool scene, like just like the location, the way it looked was cool. That made it awesome.
Plus, it was cool to have a whole action scene in that.
Oh yeah, and that's where Chuck Norris's character came. And at first, when I saw it, I was just going, I hope that's just not a cameo. I hope he just doesn't have. You know, he comes in, he has 10 lines, and then he's out of the movie.
Well, really, the way it works is his character, you didn't even really, I mean, I'm not complaining whatsoever.
You didn't see his character do anything but walk in there and say lines.
Pretty much, his whole scene, it's literally, I'm not saying this in a bad way, it's literally a very expensive Chuck Norris joke. And they even make a Chuck Norris joke. Because what happens is all these guys come in, they're cornered, judge of gunfire, explosions, they turn around, Chuck Norris just comes walking out.
He blew up a tank. He killed like 50 guys all by himself with one gun.
They start playing. Yeah, they start playing. Wah, wah, wah. He walks out of the smoke.
But I was glad that wasn't actually just a cameo because I was wondering that might be all he's in. Just thinking of the other Expendables movie.
Yeah.
But it's really cool because at the very end, everybody comes back.
And they even say, I want to go back to Chuck Norris just for a quick second. They actually make an actual Chuck Norris joke within the movie. It's not like, they don't actually say, hey, have you heard of Chuck Norris? It's not like that. They actually literally say, I thought it was actually kind of funny. He's like, once a king cobra bit me, but it died 5 days later. I thought that was actually pretty good. think my favorite Chuck Norris joke is Chuck Norris is the reason Waldo is hiding. But
I think that joke didn't that joke go actually like it was like, we're like, weren't you bit by a king cobra? He's
yes,
like,
something like
yeah, 5 days of agonizing pain, and then it died
that.
later.
Yeah, there you go.
That was pretty badass. And Chuck Norris was just awesome movie. Because really, like, when was the last time, other than Walker Texas Ranger, you saw Chuck Norris in like a huge movie?
That's true. Yeah, I can't think of a movie I've seen.
Because that's kind of the thing is, well, you know what actually? Because even with all the trailers, really, what this movie is this is people over 50 kicking ass, and
They
all
make
the
a-
trailers almost in the beginning of the movie were just more people over 50 kicking ass.
Yeah, they had a trailer for Arnold's movie, The Last Stand, which is done by the same guy who directed I Saw the Devil and
The Good, the Bad, and the
which
Weird.
I love. The Good, the Bad, the Weird. It's a Korean Western, but it is. I know how ridiculous that sounds, but it's probably one of the most badass Westerns I've seen.
And the coolest part is they still almost, even though it sounds ridiculous, they almost ground it in reality too, sort of.
It's very believable, that movie. Anyway, and then they had like the Tom Cruise movie, Jack Reacher,
Which I don't know what it is. These movies nowadays, they just have a lot of movies where it's just a guy's name. They all sound like lawyer movies. To
Well,
me.
I wasn't
like
sure.
John Carter. Doesn't that sound like a lawyer movie?
It does actually. Well, just look at the trailer for Jack Reacher. I'm not really. It's like
Jack
whatever.
Reacher just sounds like Jack Reacher.
Yeah, well,
here to
I'm
defend
assuming-
law.
Is that a book series or an old TV show I should know about? I'm not completely sure.
Or is it just Tom Cruise who's
Just Tom-
angry and kicking ass? And
Yeah, and then there was like a trailer for another Stallone movie. I think it was called Bullet to the Head,
yeah,
which that one looked interesting.
that looked pretty cool too. Although the Arnold Schwarzenegger one looked the coolest, just because.
The Last Stand.
Yeah, because mainly the director's badass. It just sounds. I mean, the story. It sounds kind of like the total Arnold movie. He's a sheriff in a town and shit's going down.
Well, it's probably one of the closest things we could get. Well, I mean, Arnold was in a Western. I never saw it, but he was in one of his
Oh yeah,
earlier
that
films.
was a kid's movie in a sense.
It was a
The
kid's
villain.
movie? I never saw that. He was the villain in that?
No, the movie's called The Villain.
Oh, the villain. Okay.
And yeah, it's kind of
Thinking
like
outside the box with that name right there.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's not bad. I mean, it's like Arnold's fourth movie if I'm not mistaken, but simple,
Yeah.
kind of kid friendly, kind of wacky in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But no, this one looks pretty bad. It's got that
It
modern
looks
Western,
like yeah.
and it just looked really cool.
Johnny Knoxville was at the very end of the trailer.
well, he's in the whole trailer throughout the movie.
I didn't even realize that was him until I saw
Oh,
a close
okay.
up on his face.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that he was in it. I thought somebody else.
That
kinda
motherfucker
did.
needs to eat.
Yeah, well, I'm good because I really like Johnny Knoxville movies, and he's not in enough. One of those many kind of actors. That
I'd rather
needs
watch
a
him in
lot
movie. I'd
more
rather
movies.
watch him in movies than stapling his nuts to something. So.
Yeah, I know. But that movie looks really badass. But the Bullet to the Head of Stallone,
Yeah.
that looked pretty cool too. Who else was in that one?
I'm not. I don't know the actor's name.
Oh,
but
it
I
was-
think
no,
it was the guy from Fast and Furious 3.
Who
and-
played Han?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in Fast and Furious 3. He was in all the other Fast and Furious after that. They
Mm-hmm.
liked that character so much that even though they killed him in Fast and Furious 3, they found ways to bring him back in each of the other ones.
Technically, those movies are period pieces when you think about it.
Well,
4 and 5.
Yeah, they all kind of go back in time.
Yeah.
So back in time and then forward.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, the Fast and Furious gets really confusing.
Unless number 3 is just in the future. I don't know.
Japan, that you could sell it to Americans that's in the future if it's in
Yeah.
Japan.
Well, every cyberpunk voice has Japanese and Chinese writing everywhere anyway. So. But
Yeah,
anyway,
why
but
not
back to
Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they actually haven't even made like a futuristic Fast and the Furious yet.
Oh, we're probably about 10 years away from that.
No, I can see that maybe.
But
Well, the
anyway,
trailers were cool on that. There was
Yeah.
other cool trailers I remember. There was a
there
lot
was
of trailers.
There
There
was
like,
one trailer. It's like, what the fuck is this doing here? They had a trailer for Frankenweenie.
It was the extended trailer too.
It was a long trailer.
It was like the longest fucking.
It was
trailer I've
the
seen for that
only
movie.
trailer for something that wasn't rated R.
Well, because yeah, every single movie said like bloody violence, sexual content, drugs, like everything
Rated
you want.
PG for thematic elements and some scary images, And then you watch, which I'll be honest, I don't really plan on seeing Frankenweenie, but watching that trailer, there's a part where I think Tim Burton's going more for the kids, and not the kids, but like Tim Burton fans, people that want old Tim Burton. Because I don't see very many kids wanting
Well,
to
that
see this
movie
'Cause
is-
those kids. Some of the kids. There's a little kid, a little girl with a pet cat. She's the freakiest looking
Oh, it's the
thing.
little lines pulling down your eyes.
Little lines pulling out, bug-eyed. She's like, the cat told me something. I understand.
Well, that was the first movie that Tim Burton ever made. He made like a 20-minute or 30-minute.
and this is
like,
a full-length version of
like
it.
that, and then in the 80s he made that, and then Disney. At first they were gonna actually do a movie. They're like, I don't know, this seems a little bit weird and creepy, but so they didn't let him do it at the time. So now 25 years later, whatever it's been.
He can do whatever the fuck he wants, really.
Yeah. So now they're like, Tim, make money. We like money.
Well, no, I'm not trying to bring the movie
It probably has
down.
nothing to do with Tim Burton. But I'm just saying that, like,
Oh, I know.
nowadays Disney will allow him to do him.
Of all the movies
Do
advertised,
fucked up kids movies.
from all the things to advertise, from the director of Alice in Wonderland. What about the director of Ed Wood or fucking like Edward
Like
Scissorhands?
an actual good movie.
Yeah, but no. Anyway,
Did Burton ever do like an action movie?
I think the closest thing we got to action was Planet of the Apes, and Mars Attacks is more of a sci-fi comedy.
Yeah, but I guess
that's action-ish.
That's probably about as action as it gets. Is Mars Attacks?
Batman.
Oh yeah, Batman.
Batman Returns. But no, anyway, let's get back to Expendables though. So yeah, weird trailers. Tim Burton.
Well, was there anything?
Kid with freaky
well, there was a
eyes.
Judge Dredd trailer again, which
Judge Dredd,
makes me want to see it even more now.
Man with the Iron Fist.
Which makes
again.
That trailer, they haven't added anything to those trailers. It's the same trailer every single time, but it still gets me just as excited.
Yeah. I want to know when Last Stand comes out. That comes out in 2013 at some point, it said.
Yeah, that one's going to be a bit.
Just said 2013. It's like, can we be any more vague?
Well, it's a teaser trailer almost.
Yeah.
It's a long
It showed a lot for being a teaser trailer.
But I mean, like, it's not like it's coming out. Not like Judge Dredd coming out next month.
I think most teaser trailers,
Well,
you only need a teaser trailer for like movie. This is gonna sound maybe
like the Superman trailer.
Yeah, you only really need a teaser trailer for something that's an established property, I believe. Something like Superman or Batman or something that people already know about, and just give a glimpse. Like, oh, that's the Bat costume.
Well, they must do those ones like years in advance too, like
a year, like 1 year usually.
You know, like telling you like, make sure you clear your day in 1 year from today.
Yeah, exactly. but anyway, we should probably jump back on Expendables.
It was awesome.
No, it was awesome. I think a lot of people are gonna like beat the shit out of this movie.
Oh, I know for a fact. It's
because they're throwing out.
You're gonna read in Rolling Stone how like shitty this movie probably was because they hated the first one, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. It's the kind of movie. If you like the first one and you thought that was actually a pretty darn good movie, you'll think this one's probably almost even better.
This is better, yeah.
Well, after watching the director's cut, I'd say they're kind of close. But this one's just. I think this one makes it better. Is like. Yeah, by the time of the end of the movie, yeah, you're probably deciding. Yeah, that's how I kind of felt, actually. By the end of the movie, it was much better. Once you get to see everybody get all these action scenes built in.
Well, like, the thing of it is, because the first one, I'm just going to reevaluate as I said earlier, the first one was just kind of like, all right, it's Stallone and Statham. Everyone else just hangs out, pops in here and there. And then after that, though, it's just Stallone and Statham for so much of the movie. And then they cut it at the very end. This movie, it's the whole group together, and you get to see them interacting together, and you actually get to see the relation. You know, it was because the other one, it was just everyone just had a quick little moment. This one, they're in there the whole time.
They have more moments,
and you get to see.
They get a little bit
it's
more
actually seeing. I mean, I'm not saying it's like a compelling piece on the inner human emotions or nothing like that. It's just funny seeing these guys interact with each other, their relationship, and like I like the relationship between Terry Crews and Randy
Kocher. Kocher, that's it.
That's his name, Randy Kocher.
No, but
they made Dolph. I want to just cut you off real quick. Dolph Lundgren. I actually thought because the last one, he's the guy who can't be trusted. He's gonna fucking kill everybody at some point. This movie, he's kind of like
the lovable Swedish man.
He's the lovable oaf in this movie. Yeah, because there's even a part where I thought this is cool because something I don't think a lot of people know about Dolph Lundgren is he was a biochemist.
That was kind of the cool thing I thought too. He actually has he's one of those guys you read up on him. He's like fucking amazing. He's got I think a master's degree in chemistry of some sort. Then he's also got all kinds of martial arts championships. And then he's an actor. I mean, to top it all off.
And they always treat him like he's the dumb idiot of the group. It's like
he's probably smarter than everybody else in that group.
And this movie, even though they still betray him like the dumb oaf for a good portion of the time.
It's like he's book smart.
He's book smart. And they actually acknowledge that he was a biochemist. And in the first one, they acknowledged that he had a drug problem. I think it was meth or something. They're like, oh, he was really smart. Then he all snorted it away or whatever.
Yeah, so it kind of came out.
But he's clean now, so he's a good person.
Stallone really kind of takes everything that almost people kind of complain a little bit about in the first one and kind of tweaks it up. So it's like, okay, so you thought the characters didn't have enough time in it. So here, they got more time in this one. There's more character development. You get a little bit more parts of every single character, which is cool. Mm-hmm. Terry Crews, even I like how he brought he was the guy who brought all the camp gear when they went out. He was cooking Italian food. He had coffee in the morning.
They're still giving Randy Kocher shit about his fucked up ear. He's very sensitive about it,
which was cool. Because the other one, he doesn't have that many lines now.
He bitched about his ear,
and that was about it.
Yeah,
and then he punched
Stone Cold Steve Austin into a fire.
Yeah, that was like his biggest part. So he had more parts in this one too.
And they have there's one of those things. This is gonna like we were talking like critics are gonna rip this thing apart. But like if you like these kind of movies, if you like these old '80s action films, which I know a lot of people are past them, I still enjoy them. I still like them. They make a lot of like callbacks. Like this wouldn't really work in very many new movies, but since this is like kind of an '80s, this is like a big '80s action film, it works out. They make a lot of like one-liner references to older movies. Like there's a part where Terry Crews hands Arnold his gun, says, "If you lose that, you're terminated." And he's like, "Nice try," or something. Or it was like yeah, right, or something like that.
I don't remember that line for some
No,
reason.
it's right when they, because the very beginning they're saving Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was Nepal, wasn't it? They're in Nepal.
Yeah, they're in Nepal.
They're in Nepal.
And then like Team America, they're just busting in, just blowing the shit out of every Asian in the world.
And then all of a sudden, like he's like, "I need a gun." He's like, "I need a gun. Your gun." He's like, "No, man." He's like, "Give him the gun." He says, "You lose this, man. You're terminated." He's just like, "Yeah, right," or something like that.
Yeah.
It was something around those lines.
No, they had a lot of those kind of like little one-liners, and it's cool because they have a lot of callbacks to a lot of old movies.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yeah, Arnold says that, and then Bruce Willis says, "I will be back."
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one of those movies. You don't get any of those '80s action style movies anymore. That movie style was really kind of washed away in the '90s.
I think it's kind of
never
like,
came back, excluding now with like.
I think it's like we're all gonna die soon, so let's just gonna jam this all into one movie.
Yeah, we all get together and let's do it. You know.
Someone I didn't know who was in the movie. It's kind of weird because like you watch the movie. Scott Adkins. He plays Jean-Claude Van Damme's sidekick, which his character's not likable. You just hate his character, but that motherfucker can fight. I don't mean unlikable like he's so evil. He's just like that douchey kind of.
He looks like a douchey version of Ben Affleck.
He really does. But that motherfucker can fight. And I kind of feel bad for him because after seeing this, I looked him up very briefly. He's one of those people. He's usually a stuntman. He was in a lot of martial arts.
He was a stuntman in X-Men Origins.
Yeah, here's the thing in X-Men Origins. That whole fight scene. Yeah, Wolverine. That whole fight scene at the end. Apparently, that's Scott Adkins, not Ryan Reynolds.
And he's uncredited in the movie.
How fucked up is that?
I know.
He's the real Deadpool.
He's in a ton of movies though. Yeah. Like his list was just like he did like a couple movies a year.
Yeah, I think he's primarily a stuntman in all those movies. But
yeah.
Still,
that's cool that they actually bring. That's what I kind of like about the Expendables. Is they bring some guys who aren't necessarily in like the main light of movies, and now these guys who are actual professionals in whatever they do, whether it be UFC or stunts or anything like that. Now they actually get a full-on character, which is cool.
It is good for them. Yeah. So let's see here.
If you had to choose for Expendables 3,
I was just thinking that.
Of characters. I got a big fat list. You want me to name them off? I got some really sweet choices here.
You go first.
This is the list that I have chosen of all the sweet characters I think could be at least used for Expendables 3. I think this sounds like an interesting one, but Jackie Chan.
I was agreeing with you, Jackie Chan. We're probably gonna have most of the same people on the list.
I know that's
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan, wouldn't that be a sweet character? Like
that would be. We do need it. Hopefully, Jet Li comes back at some point because I don't see Yunnan. I don't see her coming back. I could see her just being in this movie.
Well, the one thing too is Jackie Chan. Like they don't really explain Arnold's like team before, like
And
so maybe like Jackie Chan was part of Arnold's team.
I, in all honesty, assumed Chuck Norris was just going to be part of his team or something.
That's what I thought too.
Same with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Like, oh wait, he's the bad guy.
And then how about Carl Weathers?
Who's Carl Weathers again?
He plays Apollo in Rocky. He's
in Predator. Yeah, go with that.
He's a black guy with a mustache.
Oh, bring him in. Yeah.
Wouldn't he be an awesome character to have in there?
Jesse Ventura.
Jesse Ventura, I have that on my list too. I think he'd be another fantastic choice. Plus, because Jesse has it. When was the last time you saw him in a movie?
Not so.
He was only in like Arnold Schwarzenegger movies mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some ones that are kind of simple, but like The Rock. I think that's like
I see The Rock
that's bound to happen
at some point. Maybe, yeah. I didn't think of The Rock. That almost seemed too big, but yeah.
I think another cool character that like is sort of like the Stone Cold style, but it's Triple H because he's a real good actor.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks real good for screen. Vin Diesel, I think I could see him kind of being there because if you want to get
some of these characters,
modern guys,
some of these guys would be just almost kind of henchmen, or some of these characters would actually just be cameos, kind of like what Bruce Willis was in the first one.
That's what I think it could be. I think Hulk Hogan would be a sweet one to have.
They got to get Hulk Hogan in there.
Because Hulk Hogan needs a fucking job. I don't want to see one of those Rent Center commercials anymore. I don't care, his stupid family steals all his money from him.
Did his family steal his money from him?
Oh, yeah. His family just sucks all his money. He did all the hard work, and his family just sucks all of it and doesn't give a fuck.
I got to read that book. I really want to read that book.
Here's this one. I think about this one. Sonny Chiba.
Oh fuck, Sonny Chiba.
And I was thinking, like,
I got someone else in mind.
And
But
Clint Eastwood.
There's actually a rumor that Clint Eastwood might be in Expendables 3.
Well, because that's the thing. It's like, well, there was like even an older team where you pulled out guys like Sonny Chiba, Clint Eastwood.
Why don't you could almost you could almost have a scene where like Stallone goes and talks to like the man that trained him.
Yeah,
it's Clint Eastwood. And he says, "Oh, it reminds me of the time I used to run with my old team." Then he looks over at a picture. There's a picture of Clint Eastwood, Bruce Lee, and like Charles Bronson.
And then also what's his name from The Great Escape?
Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen, just like a Photoshop picture of all those guys together.
Oh, that'd be fucking sweet.
Because that's the thing is, I've seen a lot of those guys. I'm like, but a lot of those guys are dead. You know, Charles Bronson's dead, Steve McQueen's dead. But yeah, if you do one of those kind of things like that, or like, I would love to see
like the mid-70s Expendables. I would love to see that.
Yeah, with like all those guys in it.
Here, I got one for you. Probably about a year ago, I would have said this maybe like almost kind of like a pipe dream, but really seeing some of the people in there, like, why not have this guy compared to other people that were in this movie? Tony Jaa.
Yeah, he could really
Tony
go
Jaa
in there.
could kick some ass.
Because that's the thing. It's like that's the cool thing is when they kind of combine some new guys with some old guys.
Yeah.
And Tony Jaa, he's pretty much the guy who's taking Jet Li's next step. You know, if
Yeah.
it was Bruce Lee first, then it was Jackie Chan, then it was Jet Li. Tony Jaa is really the next guy, and you know.
I think Tony Jaa is a good choice for the next one.
I think that'd be sweet.
I don't know if they will get him. I think that I don't know. I don't because Stallone, he didn't direct this one, but he was one of the two writers on this one.
Yeah, he didn't do it nearly as much on this one as he did in the other ones. I mean, he probably still did a ton of work.
I feel kind of bad saying this is the better one, seeing as he didn't direct it, but
oh yeah, I guess he had his hands full of everything else.
Yeah.
And the one guy who like it doesn't sound like is maybe extreme as the other ones, but you can see him being something like a bad guy or something. Is Steven Seagal.
Oh, Steven Seagal, totally, yeah.
Yeah, you can see him being put in there.
Yeah, I can say I think we cool they brought Steven Seagal in there. Yeah, he was already a Machete, but why not bring him back for this?
You know, even
Danny Trejo.
Yeah, Danny Trejo and Antonio Banderas could even be cool. I mean, there's a huge list you could go down of people that could be in these movies.
Please eventually reach the point of like who else can be in this movie? Betty White, you know.
She could be like Sylvester Stallone's grandma.
Exactly.
Now you get like stupid
characters. Why not? We'll reach that point. But no.
What other cool things did you notice in this movie?
What else in the movie? It was really just kind of, this movie really is just more or less what's good about the first one, just everything, just a lot more of it.
Really. Yeah, that's really what it does. It kind of gives you the same thing you kind of got in the first one, but more focused better on the character development, gives everybody a little bit more equal screen time, and then those cameos from the first one are brought.
Like, my only real complaint is just the lackage of Jet Li. Jet Li has a cool scene at the beginning, and then that's it, really. It's like, oh, whatever. I guess maybe I'm assuming he didn't say, "Fuck you guys, I'm out," or they like wrote him out of the script. He probably had like conflicts with like other
well, yeah, he must he has to be doing some other movie or something. That's what happens last time.
Yeah, so I'm hoping it was that. That's the only thing I could really see happening. But whatever. At least they acknowledged him, not like leaving or something.
Yeah, at least the whole point is at least he's in there. Unlike Mickey Rourke, who's just kind of like forgotten and lost, and nobody even mentions him. Like, I guess nobody needs their.
What happened to the tattoo guy? We don't speak of it. There's just crickets in the background. Anyway, music picks up back.
Did you notice in like that other Stallone movie trailer, he had like the same tattoos as Expendables? Did Stallone just like get tattoos at like age 65 and just like I always thought those were just for the movie, but did he just like literally get them?
If you look at, maybe he did. I don't know. If you look at if you looked at like Mickey Rourke in Expendables and Iron Man 2, it's just like he walked right off the Iron Man 2 set next door. Like, all right, let's film this shit.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because like
Mickey, you want to like get into like a different outfit? No, fuck that. I gotta be back over there in 5 minutes. Let's do this.
But I saw that like in the trailer, he had the same like shoulder tattoos and everything, and I was just wondering, like, did he actually really get those? I mean, when you're at age like 60, was he 65 or 66?
He's probably somewhere up there.
Like that point, it's like, fuck it, get a tattoo. Who cares now? What's the worst that's
I'm gonna
happen?
be dead soon.
But this movie was actually the first time I actually kind of looked at Stallone and actually went, he's starting to look kind of old.
He looked like he was in the prime of his life in Rambo 4.
Yeah, see, because that movie, he looked fantastic. And even the last Expendables, he looked older, but he didn't look,
This one was like, what the fuck happened to your face?
I think because he just has the mustache and doesn't really have too much of a goatee. He just kind of has that little, like, triangle down there. So it makes it, and he's wearing kind of like the beret. So now he's starting to look kind of like an old guy on a golf course, sort of.
Still beat the fuck out of you.
Yeah, still would beat the fuck out of you without even using a golf club, but...
It's like, that wasn't a par, that was a birdie. Okay, if you say so, Sly. Thank you.
But yeah, he this is where he's starting to actually look pretty old. That doesn't mean anything bad. I mean, you look around Schwarzenegger, he's
It
looking
happens
a little
to
bit
everybody. No,
weathered.
Arnold, it shows, especially in
Well,
that
that's 'cause
Last
he's
Stand
been-
trailer.
Well, that's because he's been in politics. That'll make anybody older.
Yeah, that's true.
And Bruce Willis, he shaved that hair a long time ago, so I think that always makes him look kind of old.
Yeah. Well, according to Kevin, I think I read this somewhere. Kevin Smith said, like, Bruce Willis and Kevin Smith got bad history, but apparently he constantly keeps on shaving his head because he is balding. So
he's been balding since like Die Hard 1.
So he's been constantly keeping his head bald so no one could tell.
But yeah,
Which that's smart.
Well, for a while there, he just like lived with it though.
Yeah.
Like and like the other, like kind of like Die Hard 3.
Well, there reaches a point where it's like, I can't really. This isn't gonna look good.
No. There's a point where you gotta just kind of shave it all off and call it a day, so you don't look like some creepy office guy.
Well, what was cool about this one is there's that whole part where, because Expendables 1 and for most of Expendables 2, Bruce Willis is very much kind of like, you gotta do what I say. You don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with. Then eventually, like Stallone says, like, you don't got the balls to do what we do, so fuck you. You know. Then at the very end, he comes in and says, I'll show you what I got. So that's cool. They actually have that.
Yeah, where Bruce Willis kicking ass.
Mm-hmm. He actually joins the fight. Well, once that actually happens, though, I mean, it's like I said, this is just it's a movie. It's very self-aware. It's an old '80s action film.
Well, that's because that's what the fans are shooting for, really.
And that's everybody. We were like the youngest people in the theater. Everybody there was like
pretty old, yeah.
It was like 40 and up. We were the youngest people in that theater.
I was kind of still sad by the turnout of that movie, though, because Total Recall on opening day had a higher. Don't get me wrong, but this is Expendables. I mean,
yeah. Well, at the same time, I'm not defending this, but we live in an age like, that Arnold Stallone crap. It's all so cheesy now. Why even bother?
I guess, because that's the one thing.
I don't agree with that, but that's the time we live in.
Yeah, no, because people aren't into sometimes that, so that might be.
And Total Recall was PG-13. It looked a lot more stylish and shinier.
Shiny and brighter. It was very modern. The same thing too is like Expendables was only on one cinema. I thought that was kind of strange too.
Yeah, Bourne Legacy had two.
Bourne Legacy. Nothing wrong with the Bourne, but like that's the fourth one. They got rid of the guy who named after the movie.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
So it's like Jeremy Renner. I mean, that's cool, but I don't know, like 2 cinemas for that and only 1 for Expendables.
Mm-hmm. Which I will jump back on Expendables now. I was watching The Town the other day, and after watching Avengers, I could really think of like this is about Daredevil and Hawkeye robbing banks. That's all I can really think about.
That's kind of what the movie is. Of like Daredevil and Hawkeye just like never decided to like. Daredevil never went blind, and Hawkeye decided just to be his best friend.
They moved to Boston.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, but back to Expendables though. No, I hope that movie does better.
Because that's one thing I had kind of a fear. Because I mean, there was literally only about 15 people in that cinema. I think maybe a little more than that by the time like it actually started.
I don't see. Maybe it
20,
will.
25.
I don't see Bourne Legacy doing that great.
I can't expect that one
because it's the 4th one in the series.
It's the 4th one. You took away the main character.
Once you take away everything that was recognizable about it. I mean, I was never really a huge Bourne fan, but I don't really recognize anybody from the previous Bourne films in this. So it's kind of like, why don't you just call it something else?
Well, what do you think about that like ending scene with Stallone versus Jean-Claude Van Damme?
That we didn't even talk about Claude Van Damme.
I know we really have not even got into him yet, but that ending scene was really badass. That fight.
That was. Did it
remind me of Resident Evil 4 when Leon's battling Kruger?
Yeah, it kind of did.
It looked the same, sort of.
Because he does. I'll say this. He actually looks kind of like Van Damme to me. Looks kind of like Wesker in this film.
Yeah, he looks like Wesker in this film. But that battle is just like Kruger and Leon.
No, that whole part was pretty badass.
When he puts they fall down to the bottom, and then like Stallone takes that chain over his shoulders,
and they're just fighting with the chain. He's fighting with the knife.
Yeah, that was badass. That end scene was the end scene was really like that. Just topped off the movie. I will say if there is any kind of problem I have. Is sort of towards like the middle. There's a little bit of like slowdowns where like the action scenes. I guess because like when you see extreme action where shit's blowing up, guns are firing, everybody's getting hit and thrown, and then it cuts to a part where they're just like in a bar and they're just punching out guys, like 5 guys in like 10 seconds. I think that action like not like there's anything wrong with that action, but it's just so toned down compared to what you just saw before. I guess that's about the only thing, and that was the thing I thought about Expendables. There's a couple like slow parts. The movies are really based off about 3 humongous battle scenes and then a couple little ones in between. But I mean, I guess you get the story through that part.
Mm-hmm. Well, this one, I thought that the first one had less action, way less action than this one did.
No, this one had way more action because the scenes were a lot longer and they're bigger and more impressive. But just those like small things, like that's not really like anything against it, but
it's pretty awesome seeing Scott Adkins' head. I think it was that sort of cameo to Raiders of the Lost Ark, where there's the helicopter.
There was a lot of like Indiana Jones references. One, I mean, the whole like main story of it reminded me of like Temple of Doom. Like they had all these slave workers digging, but instead of this one, they're digging for plutonium.
Yeah. And then they had the whole
look for the plutonium in the 1930s in India.
And Scott Adkins, he got like Jason Statham punched him into a propeller of a helicopter and chopped his head off.
And that was badass. And then there was
the violence in this film doesn't let up. And the violence is pretty fucking hardcore.
One more Indiana Jones reference where Bruce Willis gives Stallone a plane, and then the reference was like, he was all, that belongs in a museum. And they're like, we all belong in a museum.
Harrison Ford could be another one eventually.
That could be a cool one too, because he's pretty much an action star in all his movies.
Yeah.
That'd be I was thinking about that actually earlier, but I kind of forgot about that. That'd be sweet. But there was a lot of Indiana Jones in it. I don't know. Strangely enough, for having no Harrison Ford, there was a lot of Indiana Jones one-liners and scenes.
They're just going to call him up like, listen, I saw that fucking movie.
I clearly understood.
Where was my phone call?
I was sitting here in a dark room by myself.
Still getting over Indiana Jones 4.
Well, that's why I sort of thought about like.
He's like, you call this snot-nosed kid from the fucking Hunger Games to come on in, but you can't give old Indy a fucking call? Fuck you guys.
Well, that's why I thought about like Steven Seagal, like in the first one. Like he was really waiting for that phone call, and it just never came around. So then Robert Rodriguez calls, and he's like, Sylvester, well, yeah, I guess I'll be in your movie.
Okay. I want to keep my schedule clear. Just two scenes in case they call me to be in Expendables.
Because that was the guy just felt kind of like out of the way, and then
just like when he's not filming, he just like runs home, just sits by the phone, just looking at it. I imagine just being an old dial tone phone too. Just looking at it, just like patting his knees, Come on, Who else would probably want to be in it but won't make the third one, you think?
Who would want to be in it? I can see a lot of people wanting to be in it. I just hope they don't pick some of those kind of modern actors who like think they're kind of action stars. But...
One I could see happening. I'm not saying this will happen because this one I don't know how good it's gonna do. Because the first one did good its opening week. This one didn't. I don't. Just going strictly by our theater, I don't know. But if they do, I bet eventually it's going to move on. If there's going to be like an ongoing series like the Bond thing, which I don't know if it will be, but if it becomes kind of like the Bond franchise, they'll probably just filter through the different actors of the generations. And whatever actors become big, they go through that.
I don't know if it's going to go that long.
It might. I'm not saying
I don't know about that. That seems a little far-fetched right at the moment.
Unless it's one of those things.
I'm guessing it's most movies. There'll probably be a third one, then probably we'll call it a day at that almost.
Hopefully. I can say if I'm just saying if they get very hungry for money. I mean, weirder things have happened in film than that.
Yeah, I can see like Stallone and Arnold and Bruce Willis all passing away, and then they're like, well, let's just market the fuck out of these guys by making movies about them, but they're not in it.
Well, more being kind of like, I can see that, but at the same time, I can see it being like, okay, well, the remaining people are here, and then bring in some other new action stars. Maybe eventually Colin Farrell comes in.
Yeah.
Other characters.
See, Colin Farrell's one of those guys, like, I know he's in action movies.
But I have trouble imagining him in this.
And I'd have a hard time imagining him
In Bruges is one of my favorite movies, but I still have
But the way he's in that movie, it's not like he's like an action guy. He's kind of...
I can see Daniel Craig coming in this at some point, maybe.
I could maybe see him. I could maybe see him. You could probably pull out some older Bond guys. Like, it's kind of like the old team, like
Pierce
Roger
Brosnan.
Moore. I think Roger Moore was on the same team as,
Moore.
like, the Clint Eastwood team. Like, that'd be so badass,
That would be pretty badass, yeah.
You could just have all these, like, old action stars.
Sean Connery's just, like, in a wheelchair. He's like, just rolls in.
Just comes out and like, Indy! Wrong movie! Indy!
Junior!
I lost him.
Okay. Oh. You lost the wrong fucking set, Sean. Oh.
But they're just so grateful to have him on there that they just let him, like, whatever he says, whatever, it's okay. You guys
just go into the movie.
You got Sean Connery movie. Who doesn't want to say that?
It's just all like, because the poster, there's so many people jammed on that poster. Just everyone's in a badass pose, holding a gun, holding a knife. Sean Connery's in the corner in a wheelchair.
He's got like
looking confused.
Just looking over. Well, I don't know if you got any more to say about it, but I think that's about it.
Yeah, it's kind of a short one this week, but it was...
It's one of those movies like It's just a really cool movie, but there's not like I don't know how much you could say about it. Just like go see it. There's guns, there's action,
Yeah.
there's Arnold, there's Stallone, there's Statham, there's not Mickey Rourke, but there's Bruce Willis. There's
a hot
little
Asian
bit
chick.
Yeah, there's hot Asian chick. There's a little bit of Jet Li. But
For all
not
the
a whole lot of
tweens
Jet
out
Li.
there, there's the kid from Hunger Games, or a kid from Hunger Games. I'm not sure if he's the kid.
He has a sniper rifle.
He has a sniper rifle. I'm not giving that kid shit. He was actually good in the movie. I call him a kid. He's probably older than me, but he was actually pretty good in the movie. I'll say for how long he was in there.
No, I really liked this part. I was actually almost surprised that he was kind of killed off right away.
For a second, I thought he was school. I remember the character's name or the actor's name, but his nickname in Rambo 4 was Schoolboy. I thought that was that actor for a second.
Oh.
No, it wasn't.
Huh. Didn't think about that. Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's where we can conclude it at. So tune in next time, and there's a ton of fucking cool movies coming out, so there'll be something to talk about for sure.
Well, we're gonna try at some point. We're gonna try and talk about everything Tom Morello, because the trade paperback to his comic book Orchid just came out, and I just got that. I'm gonna try and cram that out and read it, and
so hopefully we'll have that one done in the next couple days.
So everything Tom Morello, including his music, comics, whatever.
Cool.
All right.
I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan. See you guys later.